So creating a new site within Liferay, within the Livingston Hotel, is pretty simple. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of import work. So we're going to bring in some of the scaffolding, some of the bare bones of our sites so that we can kind of build on top of it. In this, right, we're trying to make something a little bit more fully built out. So this is where the import process is going to come in. As we're doing this, our whole goal of building out this site is to provide a digital space where our users can access whatever it is that they need, whatever they need to know about Livingston Hotels and Resorts. So what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be creating the Livingston Loop intranet site. Right, so this is the place where all of the Livingston employees are able to come together to get the latest news, updates, and kind of see what's going on within the company or within the organization. So we're going to be creating this site within Liferay. So we'll create the site Livingston Loop, and then we're going to make sure that we allow the proper people who needs to be a part of the site to be a part of the site. And then finally, last thing we're going to hit is we're just going to check it out. We're going to take a look at the site itself and do a little bit of configuration along the way. So let's go ahead, get started, and take a look and see what that looks like over in Liferay. So now that we're back over here in our instance of Liferay, what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the menu up here at the top left, followed by the control panel. From the control panel, we're going to go down to sites, and then sites one more time. So control panel, sites, and then the second sites right here. Once there, we're going to head over and click on that blue plus button on the right hand side. So go ahead and click on the blue plus button. And then once the screen loads up, we're going to be selecting intranet site. So blue plus button followed by the intranet site. From here, we're going to give our intranet site a name. So we're going to be calling this Livingston Loop. So I have done this a couple times here, so the autocomplete does show up for me. If you're doing this for the first time, then it should not show up for you. And then once we're here, we're going to check the box for create default pages as private. So the pages that are going to be created for the site are going to be private pages. Once you have that taken care of, go ahead and click submit, and we'll wait a few moments here for the site to be created. Now, one thing to note, over on the left-hand side, in the site administration section of our product menu, it's going to be showing us which site we are administrating. This becomes very important as the portal or the platform administrator. So whenever we are doing any sort of site administration, any content creation, anything in between those two, we always want to make sure we know what site we're in. Otherwise, there's been so many times where I've created content in a site that I didn't intend to because I thought I was in a specific site. So don't be like me. Make sure you're always going to take a peek here on the left-hand side. Make sure you know what site you're in. So once we've created that site, we've been automatically sent over to the site settings of the Livingston Loop site. So we're going to scroll down a little bit just to kind of center in or hone in on the membership options. Again, we have 3 different membership types: open, restricted, private. In this situation, for an intranet, we typically want some sort of control. So we're either going to select restricted or private in this situation. For our example here, let's go ahead and click on the drop down for membership type. And then we're going to select restricted as our membership type. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to also make this site, Livingston Loop, a child site of the main site, Livingston Hotels and Resort. So let's see how we're able to do that. We're going to click on that select button right below parent site. So clicking on that select button. And then we're going to look through the list and we're looking for Livingston Hotels and Resorts. So once you find Livingston Hotel and Resorts, go ahead and click on it. For me, it's just right there. So be careful, since there's this one down here towards the bottom we want the one without ink. So just Livingston Hotels and Resort. I'll go ahead and select it, and then we'll scroll down and then click Save. So clicking Save, right, and it shows that our request has completed successfully. So very good. So far we have created our very first site using the site template called intranet site. From there, we did a little bit of configuration. We've changed the membership type to restricted, and then we made the Livingston loop a child site to the Livingston Hotels and Resorts parent site. Next up, what we're going to do is head over to the site itself and take a look at the widgets on the page and configure those a little bit. So back over here, we're going to be clicking on Go to Site right below Livingston Loop. So we'll click on Go to Site. And then you'll see that the page is kind of split down the middle. You have a 50%, 50% on the left and right. We'll have these three widgets here, and we can move those widgets. As you'll see, when I take my mouse cursor and move it inside of a specific widget or application, you'll get that light blue title bar that shows up. What you can do is then take your mouse cursor and hover over the title bar like so, and then you get that sort of move icon, the intersection or the cross. Once you have that, you can click and hold, and then you'll see the application kind of shrink a little bit. You can then move it, and as you're moving it, you'll see a dark blue line like so. And then once you let go, that will be where the application is going to be placed. So I'm going to move the activities over here on the right hand side, just like so, and go ahead and do that as well. Once you've moved the activities over to the right hand side, we're going to take our mouse cursor once again, and we're going to move it inside of the language selector this time around. Once I move it inside the language selector, we're going to then move the cursor into the title bar. We'll get the move icon, and then same thing, click and hold, and then we're going to drag and drop it over here on the left hand side. So language selector is over here on the left, activities is over here on the right, right above the recent content. So very good. Now what we can do next is we can configure the layout of the page. Right now the layout shows kind of a 50-50 split. The layout, as the name implies, determines how the widgets lay out on the page. So you can kind of shrink columns however we want. There's a number of different presets that we're given, so let's take a look at those. So up at the top right, you're going to see the gear or the cog, and go ahead and click on it. This one might take a few seconds here to load, so if it takes a little bit longer, that's okay. It's fairly typical. What we're going to do next is scroll down a little bit and you'll see all of the different layouts that are made available to us. The one that we're going to be selecting is the 2-column. We're going to have 30% on the left, 70% over here on the right hand side. And so each one has a thumbnail that corresponds with it, giving you the visual representation of what it looks like. So let's go ahead and select 2 columns, 30% on the left, 70% on the right. Once you do, we'll go ahead and head down and click Save down here at the bottom left. Right, we get our page has been updated successfully. You'll see on the left hand side it's a little bit smaller, and then on the right hand side, right, we have our widgets in a much bigger configuration. So very good there. Now let's go ahead and play with this a little bit more. We're going to jump back to our slides really quick and take a look at what the next thing has in store for us. So the next exercise that we're going to be working on is creating a site for each one of our different hotels and resorts. So we have 140 plus. So we're going to have to be creating a lot of sites here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with an easy one. We're going to create a site for the Fiji Hotel. And then after that, we're going to be creating a site template. The template is going to make our process much easier for creating sites for each one of our different hotels in all of our different regions. So let's head over and create a site for the Fiji office or the Fiji hotel. All right, so back over at our product menu, we're going to head over to the control panel. So once the menu has been opened, going over to the control panel, followed by sites, and then sites one more time. So control panel, sites, sites. So now that the sites section has loaded up, what we're going to do next is we're going to click on one child site that lines up with the Livingston Hotels and Resorts. So once you've clicked that, we'll go ahead and wait for a brief moment, and it's going to show us the Livingston Loop site. Next up, we're going to be clicking the options button that lines up with Livingston Loop. And once we click on that options button, from there, we're going to be selecting add child site. So go ahead and click on add child site, and we'll wait for it to load up. Once it does, it's going to give us a couple of different options here. And the option that we're going to be selecting is community site. So go ahead and click community site right there. And then we need to give this site a specific name. So we're going to be calling it Fiji office. So pretty simple there. And then we're going to check the box to create private pages. So this will create pages that are private as the default. Once you have that all taken care of, go ahead and click save or submit in this situation. I always think it's save by default. So we're back over here in site settings. Again, I tried to build the habit. I always want to take a look here on the left just to confirm that we are in the proper site, the site that we intend to be in. And in this case, we are. We want to be here in the Fiji office. Next up, we're going to scroll down a little bit, and we're looking for that membership options once again. Same thing as last time. What we're going to do is click on the membership type dropdown, and then we're going to select restricted. Once we do, go ahead and scroll down. You'll notice that the parent site is already automatically selected for us, Livingston Loop. So if we wanted to, for the first time, we could have followed very similar steps to create the Livingston Loop site as a child site of the Livingston Hotels and Resorts. But we kind of took a different way. That's perfectly fine. Many different ways to do something within Liferay. So let's go ahead, scroll down towards the bottom, and then we're going to click save. So very good. We have created a private site that is a child site of the Livingston Loop. I should say restricted site. So this is a child site of the Livingston Loop. And we can do this for each different office, right? For, one here in the US, there's probably one over in Canada, Mexico, so on and so on. And that would take a long time if we had to kind of follow the same process as we've done, configure each individual site. Takes a long time. So to kind of help expedite the process, what we're going to be doing next is we're going to create a site template. Let's head back over to our slides and take a look at what that looks like. So this is going to be our last exercise, at least for this section. What we're going to do is we're going to be creating a site template. From there, we'll add a couple of pages, a couple of child pages to the site template. We're really just going to configure the template to how we want it. Once we do that, we'll then create a site based off of that site template. So pretty simple. Let's take a look at what this looks like in Liferay itself. All right, so to create a site template, what we're going to do is head over to the control panel once the product menu has been opened. And from the control panel, we're going to head down here to sites and then site templates. So control panel, sites, and then site templates. Once we're there, we're going to click on that blue plus button over here on the right-hand side. Once we click on that blue plus button, we're going to be calling this site Hotel Location Site. And again, if you feel like I'm going fast, feel free to pause, rewind at any time. Right? That's the beauty, that's the joys of a video. So the name of the site template that we're creating is hotel location site. If you want, feel free to add a description. This is not outlined anywhere, but I'll go ahead and add one. A site used for hotel location intranets, something like that. And whatever this site template is really going to be used for, we can always modify and change the description. We're going to leave all of the defaults here. So this site template is going to be active. We can use it. And we can also have this sort of configuration called propagation of changes. The idea here is when we are creating a site based off of a site template, what ends up happening is any changes we make to the template will propagate over to the site. So to illustrate this example a little bit more, I have a couple of cards here on the desk, and we can use this as illustration. All right, so let's say this card here is the site template, and then I create a number of sites based off of the template. So let's say I create, here's 4 cards. I create 4 sites based off of the template here. So what ends up happening is if I change the template, each one of the 4 sites will see the change. So make the change here. All of the sites using the template will see the change. And this will only occur when we have the propagation of changes applied. Otherwise, what we can do is create a site based off of the templates, and then you can modify the individual sites yourself if you want. So that's what that feature there is. That's what that checkbox is for. In any case, let's go ahead and click save, and then we'll keep on going from there. So very good. We have created our very first site template. What we're going to be doing next is we're going to make a little bit of some modifications here and there to the template. So what we're going to do is take our mouse cursor and head over to the hotel location site, and we'll click on the link here. Once you click on it, it will open up a new tab. What's kind of nifty here is whatever you do, it's going to be automatically saved, so you don't need to worry about that. So we're going to head up and click on the plus button up at the top right, and we're going to be configuring the site template to our liking. So plus button up here at the top right, and then from there we'll select widgets, and then from widgets we're looking for one called web content display. So using the search bar, I'll type web content, and then we see the web content display. From there, we're then going to head over and drag and drop the application on the page. So click and hold, and then drag and drop onto the page. Right, you'll see that here you can put it kind of wherever you want, left, right. In this situation, it doesn't matter. I'll leave it up to you. So I'll put one here on the right-hand side, and then let's go ahead and add another one. We can add this one here on the left-hand side. So 2 web content displays added to the page. Right, once you do that, go ahead and exit out of the add menu like so. And once you exit out of the add menu, we're then going to be clicking on the gear right here. So go ahead and click on the gear to configure the current page that we are on. So I'll click on the gear, and then it'll bring us over to the configure page. So what we're going to do here on the configure page is we're going to head over to one column. So I'm going to click one column right here. And then once we do that, go ahead and scroll down, and then we're going to click save. So scrolling down and then clicking save. Right, and then you'll see the 2 web content displays stacked on top of one another. So far so good. Let's make a couple more changes here, and we're going to add a couple of pages to the site template. So to do this, we're going to head over to the product menu, clicking on the menu icon up here at the top left. And we're going to again confirm that the current site that we're working on is our site template. So we named our site template hotel location site. So that looks good there. Once we're here, we're going to then head over to build, followed by pages. Right? So build followed by pages. So we can add a couple of different pages here. Let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to head over and click on the plus button here on the right hand side. And once we do, we get a couple of different options here. Now let's talk about these options. The first option, and this is generally the more common one, is the widget page. So the widget page allows us to add, well, widgets to the pages. So if you have applications that you want the end users to interact with, this is going to be how you would create or allow our users to do so using the widget page. Now we have a different type of page we'll talk about a little bit more in detail. Is called the content page. So let's say we just want to display content to our end user, right? We want to give them info that's relevant to them, or make cool banners, or add, news, whatever the case is. So anything, well, content related, we can create the content page to display it. Anything that is widget related, we're going to be using the widget page. And we go into much more depth into these ideas when we hit the content course. But that's a different story, different course for a different day. So in this situation, what we're going to do is we're going to be selecting widget page here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to select widget page. And then I have to give this page a name. So the name of this page is going to be book a room. So book a room. So I'll go ahead and from here, we'll click submit. All right. Now let's go ahead and we'll click a couple of, or we'll create a couple of other pages to go with it. So from here, let's click on the add icon on the top right of the rooms page we just created. So what we're going to be doing next is we're going to create a couple of child pages for the page that we just created. So the way to do this is we're going to take our mouse cursor and move it inside of the page we just created, book a room. You'll then see the plus button show up. So go ahead and click on the plus button. From there, it gives us the same options that we've seen before. In this situation, let's go ahead and select widget page one more time. So clicking on widget page, and the name of the next page is going to be called Suites. Once we have that typed out, go ahead and click submit, and then back over to where we were. All right, let's go ahead and we'll do this one more time. So plus button that lines up with book a room, and we'll click it again. It brings us over to what type of page we want to create. We're going to be creating another widget page. So let's click on widget page. And then the name of the next page is going to be budget. So creating a page for our budget rooms. Okay. Go ahead and click submit once you're ready. And then let's create, let's go ahead and create one more page template here, or I should say another page. We're creating a site template. So let's create one more page for the site template. So we're going to be clicking on the plus button that lines up with book a room one more time. And then from there, I'll click on widget page. And then for the next page, this is going to be hopefully the last one, but we'll see. We're going to be calling this extended stay. And then go ahead and click submit. And very good. So we've created a couple of child pages for the page called book a room. So we're going to book a room. We have the different types of rooms here on the right hand side. So far so good. let's go ahead and create a couple more pages just to get comfortable with the idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the plus button over here on the top right to create a new page. So plus button here on the right hand side. And we're going to be creating another widget page. So we're going to select widget page one more time. And the name of this widget page, we're going to be calling it amenities. So let me make sure I spell it correctly. Can't say I'm the best speller here. So amenities. Once we do, let's go ahead and click submit. So we have 3 pages. One of the pages has a bunch of child pages. Let's keep on going. Let's click the plus button over here on the right hand side one more time. And then the next page is going to be another widget page. So clicking on widget page one more time. And then the name of this page is going to be called About Livingston. Okay, so About Livingston. And then we're going to click submit. Last one. So for the last page, we're going to be clicking on that blue plus button on the right hand side once again. And then we're going to be selecting, you guessed it, widget page. And then this last widget page, we're going to be calling it Contact Us. And then go ahead and click submit one last time. So very good. We have created our first site template here. And so though we put in a good amount of work to create this template, it's going to make our lives so much easier, right? For each hotel that we have within the Livingston Hotels and Resorts, we can use this site template to help us out, since all of the hotels, at least as far as I know, are going to be following the same format. We can just rinse and repeat with this site template again and again and again. So with that in mind, let's see how we're able to use it. So we're going to head over to the menu, right? Back into the control panel. And then from the control panel, we'll head over to sites, followed by sites again. From here, we're going to click on the options menu for the Hotel Americana. So scrolling down a little bit, let's see if we can find it. Let's see, there it is, Hotel Americana. So options button, that lines up with it. And then from there, what we're going to do is head over to the site settings. So we're going to select go to site settings. So now that we're here in the Hotel Americana, we're going to scroll down until we see a section called Pages. Once you see the Pages section, go ahead and expand it out. So expanding out the Pages section, you'll see that we see our 2 sets of pages. We have our public pages as well as our private pages. And so in this situation, we want anybody to be able to see this, right? We want anybody to be able to, well, book a hotel with us. So we're going to be applying the site template towards our public pages. So over here on public pages, we're going to click on the drop down, and then we're going to be selecting hotel location site. So hotel location site. We see the option here to enable propagation of changes. So this is what I was talking about earlier between the site template and the sites using it. If we slide the slider from no to yes, we will take the Hotel Americana's public pages, and it's going to be linked up with the site template hotel location site. So any changes that I make to the site template will then be applied to the site itself. So that's the idea here. So we're going to leave that one alone for the time being. We're going to then scroll down towards the bottom and then click Save. Right. Once it finishes loading up, we'll go ahead and take a look at the site itself. So settings have been saved here on my end. I'm going to now go ahead and head over and take a look at the site and see what it looks like. So clicking on Go to Site brings us over to the site itself, and we can see the various drop downs or the navigations that we've created and then the two web content displays that we have placed on the page. So we've seen how to create sites based off of a template, and we also saw how to create a template ourselves. With that in mind, let's head back over to our slides one last time just to do a little bit of discussion. Right. And so over here, right, go ahead and think through and talk amongst your colleagues and kind of discuss what type of sites are you guys going to be using. Right? Is it going to be exposed to everyone, or is it only for specific people? Right? We got to figure that out first. Once we do, we need to decide, well, what types of pages will that correspond to? Public pages or private pages, right? And then how many sites are you going to be building? Are these sites going to be like cookie cutters of each other, or are they going to be more unique? Depending on that situation, we can use a site template to help us, or maybe we have to create each individual site on its own since they will be very unique. Right? A lot of different questions to consider here, so go ahead and consider those amongst those who are going to be helping you out with that. Right? Once you have that taken care of, right, I'll go ahead and I'll see you in the next section.